Just firing up my server. Everybody having fun? Any questions today? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are.
Good morning.
Someone asked yesterday at the quiet hour whether the Strip Map app supports processing ALOS SLC data, and I said I didn't think so, but then I confirmed that it does, or Haresh says that it does. So I'm going to see if I can figure out how to get that to work. Let's see, just for your edification, if you're waiting for a particular instructor to join, let's see who signed up for this morning. Hold on a second. You know, Gareth is not doing the mornings. Too early for him. Looks like you're stuck with me only for this hour. Nobody else seemed to want to do this hour. And in fact, in general, David Beckert and I will be the two for this hour for the next several days. Anyway, we can, and Lu Yen's here. So are there any questions?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Good, thanks.
I don't have any question, but I saw, I think Alex have a question on Slack, right?
Oh.
I did, and I got it resolved, and now I have a new question, and I'm firing up the hub.
Okay,
great.
go ahead.
Yeah, it's someone, if someone else actually wants to go, my server's still loading up. Or I can just maybe generally kind of go through. So for the TOPS app notebook, I downloaded a set of data looking at the Antelope Valley earthquake from I guess over the 4th of July weekend. And I was able to change my working directory to InSAR 2 and mostly get that sorted out. Where was I? Rebecca had some awesome advice. Initially, it wasn't finding the DEM on its own. And Rebecca said, well, make sure you've got like really good coverage, I guess, with the frames. And initially I had 2 frames that covered my area of interest, but they were clearly different flight paths. And I kind of thought it would work out okay, but it turned out the second frame in the step where it separates out my area of interest and, you know, pulls out I guess the third swath and then takes the bursts from that. It, you know, goes from like, say 10 bursts in the whole frame down to 4 or something. In my second frame, it kept giving me back 0 bursts, and that broke everything going forward. But I got that resolved with Rebecca, said to go back and make sure your frames, you know, are good. So that solved that. Does that make sense? And I don't know if anyone else ran into something similar.
Well, it makes sense that the DEM needs to cover the area of interest, but I guess, are you specifying the DEM area or allowing the software to look at the corner points of the area of the Sentinel frames and then picking the DEM area automatically? How is that?
In the XML file, I specified a region of interest.
I see.
Mostly just for computational efficiency. I think when I was trying to run strip map app and I didn't specify an area of interest, it was taking forever.
I see. Okay.
And again, like my frames, both frames were in the area of interest, but yeah, I still new to this. So I don't quite understand why that didn't work.
Yeah, I have just seen the question on Slack. From my experience, I have a couple of comments for you for that one. I think that Harris mentioned it yesterday, but someone may miss that in TOPS app we have burst, and in StreetMap app we don't have that. And for registration, it is required that we have at least one burst for co-registration. And if you remember that one burst have a width around, I remember that 20 kilometers. So I have seen that you made a bounding box. It seems to be quite small. So in case you set a bounding box, it's small, the area of interest doesn't cover over one burst. So you can play around with bigger bounding box. Yeah, and I saw someone comments on that you should check the SWOT you said, the third SWOT. It is coincidence with the study error or not. So you should check that one as well. So I think from not just only you, I think it is very common for people processing Sentinel. So people should know about that, because I think it's so many people stuck with that one. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, you brought up a good point. I did also make my box bigger when I also picked better aligned frames. So maybe fixing the frames actually wasn't what fixed it. It might have just been that I made my box bigger. But I did, actually, I can share my screen if you want. And there we go. So, oh, sorry, close your eyes if this makes you dizzy. Sometimes scrolling fast. I forgot where this all was. Oh, yeah. So here we go. This is where it's exactly what you just said. Is in my first frame, this went great. I didn't change my first frame, it was the second one that I ended up changing after I made my bounding box bigger, but it still kept 4 after cropping. And somewhere in here says there are 3 swaths, so I didn't have to change that. That was just luck, I guess. And then the second one, previously I was, not getting any common bursts. Like it was locking up here, and I didn't initially recognize that it was throwing an error because I just saw the big printout and said, oh, cool, it did its thing. But by making the bounding box bigger and perhaps changing the frame, it seems to have worked. And then when I go to verify the DEM, this was great. And it was a lot faster last night when there weren't 150 people trying to do it at once. The one thing that I got stuck on though, well, first off, nothing looked interesting. I was really disappointed. I must not have, I don't know, maybe didn't pick a good area or something, but oh yeah, well, I guess there's another DEM step down here where I think you resample it to 120 meters. That's where I was getting stuck. But there was also quite a big shift in the azimuth and range in here. And I think I missed during the lecture the significance of this and what to do about it.
So big shift is 0.002 pixels. It's
It's not that big then.
not a huge shift, no. It's pretty good, actually. Amazing.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, the in-class example I would think was even tighter.
And the range shift is
That one's about 0.1 maybe.
1, but you know that could be just the baseline. 2 images could be shifted by some amount. just due to the fact that the baseline is not 0. Do we know what the baseline is? Does the software print out the baseline?
Oh, I think it does. I wrote down that it prints it out, but it's not used anywhere. It's like just for documentation. I don't know where it puts it though. I should probably I haven't run anything. I should probably look for it in the terminal. Do you guys want me to look for that now or maybe later?
No, that's okay. We don't need
Yeah.
to know it. But I mean that the range at bulk range shift, the look angle changes across swath. So the range offset between pixels as a function of range will change somewhat because it's basically the projection of the offset is the projection of the baseline onto the look vector, and that look vector is changing as it goes across the swath. So if you have a 100-meter baseline and it's in some orientation, you project that onto the look vector, you'll get some, variable shift across the swath, and that offset could reflect that fraction of a pixel.
So where I ran into trouble was, I know I should have written down the number. I'm sorry. Do you guys remember where oh, here it is. Okay, so downsampling to process DEM. Option 1, I think this was suitable for the class where everything was set up for the class example. And then for the second example, it says, to do this as a user exercise. So I did try the first example and I just put in, this was maybe I should zoom in more for you guys. I always forget that.
That's okay.
So this was the DEM from the class, and I've commented it out and put in the DEM that the software automatically downloaded for me. It's still zooming. I don't know why. Oh my goodness. Yes, this really is the file name. Why is it scrolling everywhere? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with it. Sorry, guys. Oh. Wow. Okay. So
Is something leaning on your keyboard that you're not aware of?
yeah, it's not. It looks like that, doesn't it? My laptop's clear. Yeah.
You click on the control button again.
Click on the control button again. Yeah, it's actually stopped moving on my end. Is there a delay where it's drifting on your side?
No, it's all right here.
It's good now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I tried just subbing that out, and I get an error that says it can't find the raster X size. So I think, and it's pointing to an error in the GDAL ICE XML file, which I think is buried. It's not one of the normal XML files we make, right? It's buried in like the ICE setup.
Did Haresh run that cell yesterday with the standard DEM? Just wondering if there's a bug in the software.
Yeah, I was able to run it yesterday doing this.
You were.
In the notebook, yeah. And there is a note here that says, as a user exercise, use a different DEM, and kind of tells you what the process is. So I think what we're trying to do is update that same XML that through the error in line 69 or whatever it was. We have to update it, I think, with some parameters.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, and then the next line here says, I kind of want to zoom out a little bit, but I'm afraid it's going to flip out again. But so the next line says, oh, there's a built-in utility, or there's a Python tool that just fixes that XML file for your analysis. And basically, I think you have to put in an in file, and then it fixes everything inside that XML that it needs. Oh, I guess I don't understand is what the input file should be. I looked through the documentation and I couldn't find, if there's anything in the user docs, I missed it. So I tried just putting in, my DEM. There's a DEM XML file that lives in my directory, but that does not appear to be it.
I wonder if this is another case where where the old DEMs need to be just deleted or moved out of the directory, because there was something. So yesterday when I was trying to change my area of interest, even though I changed the topsap.xml to have a different lat long bounds, it's until I deleted like everything in the folder, it was still looking at the old DEM.
Okay.
And I'm still not entirely sure why, because I moved the old DEM out, but it had already created, my guess is that it had already created some of the subsidiary files that it needed. And because those are already there, it's not looking at the new one to create it again. I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right down here with the XML part. Like there's this funny XML that's like buried somewhere else. It's not in your working folder, I think. Did you have troubles with the DAMs up higher, like in part 3?
Yeah, so
Okay.
when it ran through just fine on the example, and then when I tried to change to my own study area, it still kept looking at the old DEMs, and it wouldn't even when I deleted those DEM files, it still already had, I don't know, I guess I don't know the part that it does where if it kind of crops out the piece that it needs and puts it somewhere else, or but it was still finding it was still using the old DEM until I kind of just deleted everything out of the directory. And
Got it.
fresh.
Yes, I think
worked.
it does all of your work. This is super helpful, having this at the top of the notebook that tells you the directory structure. I think it's doing all the work in your InSAR folder, but it's saving all your data in a separate folder, which is kind of like what you're saying, Emily's.
Yeah.
The data is the input data.
Yeah,
And so
all
I
the
tried to-
SLCs. I think it puts.
Yeah.
I think it might. Does it put the DAMs in there, or does it put the
No, the
DAMs in your
DEM
working
is
folder?
DEMs are
It's up
InSAR.
InSAR, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
I had to, I don't know. I deleted everything. I just ultimately just kind of started fresh and deleted the whole InSAR directory.
It might be instructive if you bring up a terminal and we can take a look at what's in your InSAR
Yeah.
folder.
Let's do. Okay. What is it? GeoSync.
2.2
Thanks. Whoops.
tab.
Yeah. Well, seems like it'll work.
So LS. So the data has
There you
the
go.
input data. Go to InSAR. So you created an InSAR 2.
Yeah.
So that is totally independent of the other one. It should be. All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. It does keep the DAMs in there because these are different numbers. And it did that really long DEM topo step up in, I forget where it is, maybe chapter 3 of the notebook. It did that one pretty well. It was just that there's the down sampling to 120 meters, which I don't fully understand what the inputs are to update that. Sorry, that's not a very, I guess I'm getting more articulate with my question. There's something that's buried inside of the software needs to be updated, and it's not in this directory according to the error output.
Yeah. So I don't know the answer to this question. I have to talk with Haresh or somebody
Yeah.
who's actually worked on the software.
And it looks like it might be a little note that was just forgotten to put inside the notebook because so it has these option 2 instructions. It kind of tells you again what these XML files and how to work through like the help part of it. And
Mhm.
then there's something that says right here, once you have this done, you can see from the help command what the inputs are. You need to update the path in the XML file with an absolute path. Now run the command : and it's like the command didn't get put in there. So I think maybe this might be a Harish question, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Well, I guess
So
that was
in case you download them, and fixed image XML .py will help you to update the relative path to absolute path. So it is what fixed image XML .py works. Yes,
Well,
as you said, I remember that if you have problem with the path and eyes cannot distinguish where the DEM files are. So fixed image XML.py will help you that to show the absolute path for the DEM. So in this case, I think I remember that yesterday Harish mentioned he did not download them and he let eyes to do it automatically. So I think you can come back to that to let eyes to download them automatically first.
yeah, that's actually what I did.
Yeah, and in case no, from the code here, you have a cell to download the DEM. Can you come back to the download area?
Yeah.
So web.
All right, I think I let it download automatically. I didn't tell it
Because
to.
you uncommented the line and it download, and I'm not sure that the DEM you downloaded cover or coincident with the study area or not.
Okay.
I have seen
It
that
looks like it from the name, right? The name has a latitude and longitude in it. My directory, that my study area is within there.
inside this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I should have turned the table of contents on. Is this the step where it downloads it? Yeah, this is verify DEM somewhere in here. Yeah, so this line was commented out because this is downloading the DEM. This alternatively, if the download above fails, this downloads it for the class example. So I've got that.
Yeah, can we go up? It has the another one. I saw that you download by the code rather than automatically.
Yeah. So I think this is where it downloads the DEM. Is that true?
No, I saw it somewhere. You saw where to download them. So I think you uncomment. You should uncomment that. Can you come back?
Yeah. Which way do I go? Do I go down or up in the notebook?
Or you can show your XML file. I'm not sure that XML shows the name of them inside.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah, let me come down to.
If you uncomment the name of them, it will automatically download.
Uncomment the name of them. Where do I need to uncomment?
Yeah, it is here 139. You have down sample them.
Yeah. Well, this one's commented out because that was from the class example. That's the wrong area.
Okay.
I replaced it with my area, which is why up here I,
okay,
did list to get the name.
If you change that file to like the full file path instead of just like the name, will that help, do you think?
Probably, actually. I need to restart the notebook to try to run it, but yeah, you think InSAR too. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Although, I didn't know it might, but I somewhere up here, it puts me in my working directory. I'm already in there, so it should be
That shouldn't work.
smart.
I mean, you can
Oh,
try
okay.
it.
So the error exactly here.
Yeah, that's the error there.
Oh, okay. So it shows no such file or directory. So it means that you should update the absolute path. So where the image XML .python, you should add it before this.
Yeah. So what's interesting, I guess, maybe I don't want to take up everyone's time. It's been like half an hour. It probably doesn't matter. But it's looking for this file, right? A course DEM WGS84, which I don't have and which I've never specified, right? Like that's not the one I'm specifying here. So I think
What it is. But I mean, that is a link that's in the VRT file probably, or a file name that's in the VRT file. The problem
Okay.
is it can't find the one below it, the course DEM dot blah 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 dot DEM dot
severe.
So if you look up above, you don't have that file. You don't have a course DEM file.
Which I thought that's what it was making when it downsamples it. Like I thought it starts with this guy and then
Yeah.
it downsamples to make the course one. That's what I would have assumed. And maybe it's trying to make it because it runs into this raster excise error because it's saying that well, it's saying that it's throwing an error in this GDAL to ICE XML Pi script, which if you scroll down further, there's instructions here on, oh, hey, you might get an error in here. Well, here's what to do about it. You need to just update your absolute file path, like you're saying. I guess I just don't know what I put in when I update the absolute file path, right? Because you're in file. Or you're,
Right.
the documentation doesn't, I mean, it says it's supposed to be an XML file. I guess I don't know which one. I tried putting in the DEM XML file.
Yeah, okay, well, we understand the problem now. I think we're not going to solve it here.
Yeah,
so,
fair. All right, we'll stop sharing and let someone else. Thank you for your
well,
time and
all right, are there any other questions?
I have a question over the oversampling. I have seen somewhere on ISCE forum, and some people mentioned that we should use an odd number of oversampling, but I'm not sure it is necessary or not, because from some papers they still even use even number of looks. So have you got any comments on this?
This is oversampling of what?
Number of looks.
DEM?
When we set the number of looks, and in ISCE forum, some people suggest we should use, for example, 3 or 5 rather than 4.
For the number of looks in creating an interferogram? Is that?
Yeah,
Oh.
for the number of looks in downsampling as we
Downsampling, okay.
yeah.
Well, in theory, if the software is properly written, it shouldn't matter whether it's odd or even. I don't know if the experience with ICE2 is that by using an odd number of looks, you end up, you have an equal number of pixels on either side of the central pixel, so that when you take the looks, you end up with no geolocation or bookkeeping error in the location. But I thought that ICE was defined with the corner as being the reference point, not the center. So it should not matter whether you have equal, even or odd number of looks. When you take the looks, that corner point of the reference pixel should be still the same as you take the number of looks.
Yeah, because they advise or they suggest to you odd number, and they describe that in case of even number, it will compute the average, and in case of odd number, they just use the column or the line in the middle, so no need to average or something like that. I have seen this a very long time ago, so I don't remember exactly. Yeah, but as you mentioned, it is correct that I have seen so many papers and they mention they still use even numbers of loops.
Yeah, it really shouldn't depend on, it should only depend on what the resolution you want and the amount of noise reduction you want.
Okay.
Should not depend on, anything else. So.
Yep.
There were bugs in geolocation many years ago, but I think those were all resolved.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, hello,
Yes.
good evening. So I was working, maybe I will just share my screen. That would be, yeah. So I've been working on the notebook 2.2, top data processing. So I was done with the first notebook, just running it. And then I was like, okay, I will just download my own data and then I'll just work around. So I then downloaded the data set for the recent earthquake in Haiti. So for just showing you, and now I'm confused about the bounding box. So I've worked with raster data before, but I'm a little confused about this section. How do I define my region of interest? I know, sorry. So I know this is my study area, and then I use like bounding box to look at the coordinates, but I think I'm not putting them correctly. So can someone put shed some light what I'm doing wrong over here, or maybe.
Did you create that bounding box, or did you modify a previous bounding box?
I just created a new bounding box. So previous study area was somewhere else, and now I'm looking at Haiti. I thought, okay, I will do analysis for the recent earthquake. So I got two pair of images, SAR images, from one on August 8 and the second one is on August 18. And so like I have never worked with XML files before. So this was my concern, like how do we define the area of interest, the coordinates? And
before you get too much farther, I tried to do a recent one as well. And later on, when you're downloading the orbits, Gareth pointed out to me that the script in there to download the orbits only downloads the scientific orbits and not the rapid orbits. And so they won't be available for anything more recent than 20 days.
okay, cool.
But your question is on how do you specify the bounding box, and it should be, lower lat, upper lat, and then western long, eastern long, which is I think what you have here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I'm just using the latest data and the orbits are not still available. Maybe that's the issue.
What is happening? It looks like you've got the data downloading, right? That's
Yeah,
what,
I got a data downloading and then it just shows that the data has been downloaded.
yeah.
So we can look at the dates over here.
Yeah.
And then when I try to, download orbits, it just start throwing some errors.
I think it used the precise orbits. So precise orbits are not available if it is younger than 21 days. So you cannot get the later image orbits, precise orbits.
Okay, so which means I would have to wait 21 days now. Cool. Okay.
Well, but people are processing these data. So-
Garrett suggested if I wanted to, I could go into the DL or the download orbits.py and just change it from the POE orbits to the RES orbits, and it might work, but yeah, I just decided to look at something else.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so maybe I will just try some other data set, 25 days older, and maybe in the future. Okay. So yeah, I was just concerned about my bounding box, and I thought maybe I just put down my coordinates wrong. So that's good to know that at least those ones are correct. So
Bounding box looks right.
Also, you can confirm it if you go to Earth Data Login and check the dates of and unique code of the files that you have downloaded. That are matches with the one you have downloaded.
okay, I will.
You can confirm it.
Cool, good to know. Yeah, so yeah, thank you.
Hi, Paul. This is Harush. If there is any question for me, I just called in.
Well, thank you. We need you. So Alex, maybe you can ask your question one more time and Haresh can answer
Sure.
it.
Yeah, all right. I think I've got the question flushed out. Good morning. Am I sharing? Let's share my screen. Alrighty, so I was running the TOPS app with the new data set, and had some bugs, but got them worked out, and I'm pretty far down in the notebook. And I'm at the point now where I'm trying to do the step of downsampling the DEM. And let's see, so I started with option 1, where I just commented out the file that was set up from the class example, and I tried putting in the one that was downloaded from my study area. And it's true that my study area is within these coordinates. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
So I've tried this. Oh,
It works
see,
now?
I don't know. I don't know. No, okay, so it's not working. But this file exists somewhere. Interesting. I don't. Huh? Oh, you know, it might work now. It is there. All right. Well, let's roll through. Maybe I can still understand what's going on with the code. Okay, so it throws an error here, which I think is expected because down here, option 2, it says if you're using a different DEM, you need to do some work on your end to fix up the XML files. So this help file kind of says that I need to specify an input file name. And it looks like there's a Python script that just goes in and does this for me. And I guess what I'm confused on is, so I think this fix image XML script is changing something that is buried inside of the the ICE package. Is that correct? Oops, there it
That
is.
one, no, it's gonna change only what's the final dem that you have. It has an XML file with it. Can you scroll? Yeah, which file? Okay, that's the dem that you are going to use, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yes.
That's-
Yes. Yeah. It is.
So out of curiosity, why are you downsampling it?
I just wanted. I don't really have a good reason other than it was in the notebook and I was just running through the exercise.
Oh, okay. So the XML, if I think you downsampled it to the course hyphen dem blah blah, right?
Yeah,
Probably,
so
you know, yeah, let's
Yeah, so this XML file, basically if you scroll down somewhere there is a file name. Yeah, you see
there it
the
is. Yeah.
file name. For
That's
this one is fine. Sometimes it's just a relative path, and it might not find it. What that script does, fix image XML, it simply changes that file name and makes it an absolute path. So ICE won't be confused wherever you run the app. It's gonna just, because we always read the XML file. So inside the XML file, it's gonna look for that file name where the actual DM is.
Mhm.
So
they're in the same folder. So the fact that there's, you know, that it looks correct, but
yeah,
it doesn't
Mhm.
seem to be working,
Yeah.
right? So I get this error here.
Yeah, looks like something is missing. The has no attribute raster.
Do you think that we should do a fixed image before downsample? Do you think that?
That could be one reason.
Yeah, you
That's
can copy
your-
the image path, image fix or fixed image before downsample and run it again.
Yeah, so that was kind of the question. In this example here, right, it says you
Yeah,
might
you
need to
copy
do
this
that.
one. Copy this one before downsample and test it.
Good
It-
suggestion. Yeah, try
Is
that.
this what I would run here? Is this the
Yes.
right input?
Yes, you
'Cause
copy
I've-
this line before downsample and test
Yeah.
it, and if it works.
Okay, so I've run it. Now I should be able to just come back up here and
Yeah,
rerun
you
this.
should.
Let's try.
Which I thought I tried. Yeah, I tried that last night and it still isn't working.
Yeah. So would you please just make a new cell, go to cell, create new cell.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or I can just do it up here. What did you want to, Kat?
the course them blah blah dot htr. Let's see what is in that one. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that looks fine. And if you just say gdal info instead of cat, make it gdal info. And the end of it, remove the that htr. So just yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think it wants WGS84 maybe. There is. Oh no.
Oh yeah. That WGS84, yes. That's WGS84. Okay, yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, looks like it should be understandable by GDAL. But what okay, now show, but there is no VRT file yet, right? Can you scroll up?
You're right. There's
I
not. Let
don't-
me refresh this.
Okay, so there is no VRT. We need to make a VRT because in the next script, looks like, can you go to downsample script? You see, you are referring to that's the.
Yeah. So
let's
here's maybe a question. Do I start with this DEM and then the course is the output? Is that true?
Yes. I assume that's what you are doing.
Yeah, I think so, if I'm understanding it right. So it's kind of weird. It says it can't find, it's still looking for the VRT. You're right. It's not having trouble making the VRT.
Yeah, because it couldn't create it. So somewhere it has failed. Somewhere inside that script has failed.
This is not
Is that the
critical, so it's
yeah? So you could go ahead with the dem that that you downloaded. Just dem, not don't make it coarse. Just go ahead with the dem that you have.
Yeah.
Dem lot blah blah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that one.
okay.
So, but do you know how to change the XML file and put in that dem? That's why it should be easy.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure exactly where it's called. Which XML is it?
The tops app.xml.
Yeah. So I haven't, so this is pretty far down in the notebook. I don't specify the DEM anywhere.
Yeah, right
It's
there.
commented out.
Yeah.
Will it?
So you would just put in the dem that you want over there.
Okay. So this workflow here has you downloading your frames, and then based on your area of interest, it goes and automatically downloads your DEM. And it never really updates the XML after that, I don't think. Should there be an interim step where after you've downloaded your DEM?
Oh, that is expected that you do that manually.
Yeah, okay.
So but however, in the notebook, I have a function that either you could change that function at the very top and call it.
Right. It's
Or
the second cell, yeah. But it's kind of iterative, right? Like you don't have your DEM file name until you go through the first couple of steps.
Yeah, if you come down, there is DEM file name. No, the same cell. Sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, okay, it's a little bit iterative. I need to go and find my data, figure out what my DEM is, then come back, redo this, remake my XML files, and then march on with the analyses.
That's true. And the other way would be, can you open a terminal? Yeah, so you are here, right? So there should be a tops app.xml vi.
I think I have to go up one.
No, it's right here. I saw it, the tops app.xml, you see?
Oh, I do. Yes, my bad.
So
yeah, you can change it in here as well, right?
Yeah, you can change it here. Yeah, exactly.
It's just uncommon and
you can change it here. And one thing that I don't think if I mentioned in the class, but I hope it's clear for you. So if you exit this XML, let's say later for your own use, you don't have to be always in Jupyter Notebook, right? You could just run it in this terminal. You could just, once you have changed it, the XML file, you can really just say topsapp.py, topsapp.xml, -- start from whatever step that you want, -- end. Yeah,
okay.
it should work. I don't know what's wrong with that downsampling. I can take a look later if I have time.
No problem. What? No, it's Control C to quit. There we go. Yeah. Okay. If I go back and rerun my analysis by putting this in, will I see DEMs like underlying some of the plots, or where does that? Yeah,
if you run it here in the notebook, yes, of course, step by step, all those things that all those plots, yeah, similar things you should see.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
I have just a quick question. Region of interest means it will select the files to download, or it will crop it at the later stages?
The region of interest, it will look at your, the app is going to look at your region of interest, and based on that, pulls the bursts that cover that region.
Mhm.
So it's gonna, if you have 100 bursts, if you have, I don't know, whatever burst that you have, but region of interest is small, it's gonna only download the bursts that cover that region. Plus, also we enforce another condition to download at least 3 bursts. So that's
Because I was selecting an area in which there is, I mean, half of the area is covered by subswath 2 and half is subswath 3.
Mhm.
So
That's fine. That's fine in the SWOT. If you want to just process subswat 2 and 3, you would say it's a list. You would say 2, 3.
okay.
So, and if you don't specify anything, it's gonna process by default all subswats.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's, I was asking about it. Thank you.
Hey, I had a question for Paul on the correlation notebook. The last question, I was wondering if you could tell.
Sure. Oops. So you're talking about the question 3 on the homework?
Yes.
Okay, it's a mildly windy day. The branches of the trees are swaying in the wind with an RMS motion of 1.5 centimeters, assuming a look angle of 35 degrees. Compare the temporal decorrelation for X band, C band, L band, and P band. Okay, so what is the question? You want
So
me
there's
to?
one formula. I just went up the notebook, and I mean, from reading that, I think we need some more data to calculate using that equation that I saw here. Or if the graph, or we can use this this figure, but it has just for C and L.
Right, that is true.
But this one probably requires the standard deviation on the, yeah, the 2 values, sigma C and sigma H.
Yeah, I think that you can probably just assume that it's in one direction or the other for this question. You might even, you know, use these curves, and you should be able to use this formula with the knowledge of what the RMS motion is to be able to scale these curves to match the other curves, right? Because once you have the RMS motion and you have the angle, the only thing that would be changing in the problem of interest is the wavelength. So you should be able to calculate from one correlation for one wavelength, the others, or the relative values.
Okay.
And does it say horizontal? What does it say? What did I say down here? Cross-track RMS motion. So it actually tells you what the motion is explicitly.
So does that mean that we're assuming there's no, is it vertical motion is the other standard deviation?
That's what it means, yes. Cross-track is this C.
And we can just assume there's no H. Okay.
Yeah.
So essentially sigma H equals to 0 then.
Yeah, so since this calls it cross range and the question says cross track, there could be some ambiguity as to whether it's the horizontal motion or the range motion. But since I give you the angle, if you assume one or the other, you can calculate whichever you want to interpret that cross track to mean, and both answers will be right. So you understand what I'm saying? If sigma C here is cross range, which means that it's the range variability. In the question, I said cross track, which could mean the range variability or it could mean the horizontal variability. Either way, just say what it is and perform the calculation. But you should have all the information you need to make that determination.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. I'm pretty sure what I meant by this was the cross range so that you only have one term up above to deal with. But it's up to you how you want to interpret it. All right. It's 7:58. So unless there's other questions, we can break, and then we have another hour of effectively Q&A and questions about homework. Maybe between then and now, we can address this down sample issue. Because I don't understand why it works for the standard problem or for the standard case, but not if you create your own, get your own data and then create your own directory and then run through the whole script again.
Yeah, I will take a look at that.
Yeah, sounds good. I think we answered the other questions today. Is that right? So we'll see what the rest of the students come up with at 10 o'clock.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See you soon.